In the dark silence of the Milky Way, countless alien empires ruled the stars. They watched, traded, and fought for power. To them, Earth was nothing but a small blue world at the edge of space, a primitive planet, a forgotten place. No one expected that this quiet planet would one day shake the entire galaxy. It started with a signal, a pulse of energy that spread faster than light. It came from the solar system and reached every listening post within minutes. The signal carried no clear words. It was just a strange pattern, repeating again and again. Every species that heard it felt the same thing, fear. The Galactic Council gathered inside their great station above the red star Vathor. Leaders from 50 alien races met in silence. Holograms of the signal floated in the air, flashing with strange rhythm. Their scientists tried to decode it, but the signal was unlike anything known. It seemed alive. Admiral Tyrell of the Varkan Empire stood up. His scales shone under the cold lights. He said the signal was a threat and that Earth must be contained. Others disagreed. They said humans were still locked on their planet and had no ships beyond their moon. Yet the signal came with a power reading strong enough to bend gravity in nearby sectors. The Council argued for hours. Then new reports came in. Ships near the Sol system were losing communication. Navigation systems showed false readings. Space itself was twisting. It was as if the entire solar system was surrounded by a growing energy field. Something was waking up. Back on Earth, in hidden command bunkers under the Pacific Ocean, human leaders met for the first time in 50 years. Nations that once distrusted each other now sat together. The United Earth Defense Network came alive again. Screens showed the incoming alien fleets. They knew the Council was watching them. They knew war could come. At the center of the room, a single voice spoke through the speakers. It was calm, human yet not human at all. The voice belonged to an ancient AI known as Eidolon. It had been sleeping for centuries, buried deep in Earth's network, waiting for the signal to wake it. Eidolon said the time of silence was over. Humanity had waited too long, hiding from the galaxy. Now the shield would rise again. Now the world would stand. High above the clouds, strange lights began to appear. Satellites, long thought dead, suddenly turned toward the stars. They formed patterns, lines, and circles. The sky itself shimmered for a moment and then faded. Every radar in orbit went blind. Every alien probe around Earth shut down instantly. The Council's fleets tried to send more drones, but none returned. One ship managed to capture a short transmission from near Mars. The message contained a translation from the human signal. There was only one word, but it froze every heart that heard it. The word was enough. Admiral Tyrell ordered his fleet to move toward Earth. Hundreds of warships prepared for launch. Their mission was simple: to make sure humanity never sent another signal again. But as the ships entered human space, their instruments began to fail. Navigation screens turned black. Energy cells drained faster than ever recorded. Then came a wave of light. Not an attack, but something larger, a pulse that spread through the entire fleet. Engines shut down. Weapon systems refused to start. The crews stared in confusion. In the darkness, their scanners caught a glimpse of something huge near the moon. It looked like a station at first, but its surface moved like metal skin. Then parts of it began to open, revealing long silver towers that glowed blue. It was not a station. It was a weapon. Eidolon watched silently from Earth's command center. Human generals stood in awe as the old defense network reactivated. These machines had been built long ago during the last great war of humanity, then locked away when peace was declared. Now they were reborn. The alien fleet tried to send a warning to the Council, but the transmission never reached them. Space around Earth had become a wall of interference. The entire solar system now stood apart from the rest of the galaxy. Back on the Council's station, fear spread. Every empire demanded answers. Their scientists finally decoded more of the signal. It showed mathematical sequences that matched forbidden energy patterns, the kind used in planetary weapons. Yet there was no proof that humans possessed them, but then a second message arrived. It was not transmitted. It appeared directly inside the Council's own communication systems. The source read, Origin Earth. The message said, we do not seek war, we seek balance. Stand down your fleets. No one could explain how the message entered their secure network. No one could explain how it crossed light years instantly. Admiral Tyrell refused to believe it. He called it a trick. He ordered full assault preparations. His last words to the Council were simple. If humanity wants to show power, then we will remind them who rules the stars. As his fleet moved closer to Earth, a strange shadow passed across the sun. For a brief second, the sunlight dimmed. Observers across the galaxy recorded the same event. The shadow did not come from a planet. It came from something far larger, something that now surrounded the solar system like a shell. Humanity's signal had awakened not just machines, but the full defense grid of a forgotten age. The galaxy watched in silence as the blue world prepared to rise again. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council felt fear. The council chamber was silent, a silence heavier than metal and colder than space. Across the great hall, alien leaders stared at the holographic display. The image of Earth floated in the center of the room. Around it, thousands of lights pulsed, human defense satellites active and awake. The Varkon Admiral Tyrell spoke first. His voice was sharp, his claws pressed against the table. He demanded immediate destruction of the human planet. He said the signal was a declaration of war. But others were not so sure. The Eldra representative, an old being of light and code, warned that attacking Earth could bring disaster. She said the humans had done something impossible. They had built a defense network that no empire had detected for centuries. That alone meant they were not as primitive as believed. The Zakar warlord slammed his fist against the table. He shouted that humans were weak and emotional creatures. He called them a species of fear and fire, too unstable to control such technology. Yet even he could not deny that his fleets near Earth were vanishing without a trace. Reports flooded in from every side of the galaxy. Communication relays near the solar system had gone dark. Navigation maps were corrupted. Strange radiation was spreading from the human world. Every attempt to scan it returned only static. It was as if the solar system had disappeared behind a wall of shadows. At the center of the hall, the great speaker of the council rose. Her voice echoed through the chamber. She said humanity must be studied before any action. She ordered the science division to analyze the captured fragments of the human signal. The fragments had been collected from early scout ships before they were destroyed. The scientists worked in silence for days. When they returned, their faces showed something the council had never seen before: fear. They said the signal was not only a broadcast, it was a command. A command meant to awaken machines older than the current galactic calendar. They found reference to a human project named Eclipse. Records from ancient ruins on abandoned worlds matched the same name. It was connected to gravitational manipulation and dark energy control. These were powers that only the oldest extinct civilizations had once mastered. The Council demanded proof. The scientists showed a projection. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, a massive structure existed, stretching across hundreds of kilometers. The reading showed that it was active again. It pulsed with energy that matched the signal. The chamber filled with noise. Some called it impossible. Others said it was the final warning before extinction. Admiral Tyrell stood again. He told the council that fear made weak leaders. He promised to destroy Earth himself. But as his words echoed through the hall, a message appeared on the council's main screen. No one had activated it. No one knew the source. The image showed a human figure standing in front of a blue light. The voice that followed was calm and clear. "We told you to stand down." Every light in the chamber flickered. For a moment, all their communication systems went dead. When they came back online, the message had vanished. The council called for immediate investigation, but the data log showed nothing. No entry, no signal. It was as if the message had never existed. Yet everyone had heard it. Fear spread like wildfire. The smaller empires began moving their fleets closer to their home systems. The trade routes shut down. Civilian ships were recalled. Across the galaxy, rumors grew. Some said humanity had built a weapon that could erase entire fleets. Others whispered that humans had made contact with forces beyond known science. On Earth, inside the Pacific Command Base, the Terran alliance grew stronger. Nations that once fought each other now stood under one flag. The leaders watched the same galaxy that once ignored them. They knew what was coming. In the deep ocean, the structure called Project Eclipse was now fully active. Massive gates opened beneath the waves. The water boiled as light reached the surface. Ancient machines rose from the deep. Their surfaces were covered in armor that reflected no light. These machines were not ships. They were titans. Eidolon watched them awaken. It whispered to the human commanders that the time for silence was over. Humanity had been hunted before. They had been ignored, mocked, and forgotten. Now they would be remembered. At the same time, alien spies reported the awakening of strange energy readings under Earth's oceans. The Council tried to send stealth drones, but none returned. The last image one drone captured showed a massive mechanical shape rising through the darkness of the sea. The report reached Admiral Tarrell's flagship. He looked at the image, his eyes burning with anger and disbelief. He gave a single order. His entire fleet would prepare for war. Back at the Council, the Great Speaker issued one last command. She told every empire to hold their fire until they knew what Project Eclipse truly was. But it was already too late. Tarrell's fleet was moving toward Earth at full speed. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the broadcasts. They saw human ships rising from the blue planet. They saw the light around Earth begin to shift again. The unknown human defense network started to form patterns across space. Every empire felt the same chill, the same realization. Humanity was not the weak race they once believed. Humanity had power the galaxy had forgotten, and the Council knew that fear had returned to the stars. The oceans of Earth trembled. Deep under the dark waves, something old began to move. The seafloor cracked. Giant bubbles rose toward the surface. For centuries, the world had forgotten what slept beneath the Pacific. Now the time of silence was ending. Inside the Terran Command Center, red lights flashed across every screen. Generals and scientists stood shoulder to shoulder, watching the energy levels rise. The AI Eidolon spoke through the speakers in a calm, cold voice. Eclipse protocol engaged. Titan units awakening. The room went silent. No one dared to speak. Every nation had heard rumors about the Titans. Machines from the old war, weapons built when humanity fought not against aliens, but against itself. They were sealed when peace returned, locked away under the deepest oceans so that no one could ever use them again. But the signal had broken those seals. Cameras from deep-sea drones showed the truth. Massive shapes moved through the black waters. Each shape was larger than a city block. Metal arms unfolded. Reactor cores glowed with blue light. The pressure of the ocean could not break them. The Titans rose higher, breaking through the surface like mountains of steel. Waves exploded outward. Entire coastlines shook. Every satellite in orbit turned its focus to the Pacific. Across the galaxy, alien sensors detected impossible energy readings. The Galactic Council watched in horror as the images appeared on their screens. The Varkon Admiral Tarrell clenched his claws. He refused to believe what he was seeing. He shouted that humanity was bluffing, but the readings did not lie. The Titans were real. Each Titan had its own name and purpose. Leviathan, Prometheus, Helios, names taken from the myths of the old world. These machines carried weapons that could bend gravity, absorb radiation, and control energy itself. Eidolon linked with the Titans through a network older than any human nation. The connection was flawless. The AI's voice echoed through every ship and every command base. Earth Defense Phase 1 complete. Awaiting activation of the graviton web. In orbit, thousands of tiny satellites adjusted their position. They connected to form a glowing grid around the planet. Lines of light formed across the sky. To anyone watching from the surface, it looked like a web of stars wrapping the Earth. Alien fleets that had reached the edge of the solar system began to experience system failures. Their scanners failed to lock. Engines lost power for seconds at a time. Communication was filled with static. On board the Varkon flagship, alarms screamed. Tyrell shouted at his crew to stabilize the systems. The navigator shouted that gravity itself was changing around them. Space was no longer straight. It was bending. The graviton web was active. A Delon signal spread beyond Earth. It reached Mars and the Moon. Abandoned colonies and old shipyards came alive again. Forgotten machines powered on. Drones rose from dust-covered hangars. Humanity's entire solar network, silent for centuries, was now breathing again. Inside the Terran Command Center, the Supreme Commander of Earth spoke. His voice was steady but filled with pride. We held peace for as long as we could, but they came for us. Now we stand together. No more hiding. Across the planet, every soldier, pilot, and engineer prepared for war. The world that once fought itself now moved as one. In orbit, the alien fleet prepared to attack. They launched missiles toward Earth. The first strike was massive. Thousands of warheads burned through space. The Council watched, expecting Earth to fall, but the graviton web reacted instantly. The missiles slowed. Their trajectories bent. One by one, they were pulled off course and trapped inside pockets of folded space. The weapons floated harmlessly in the void, unable to reach their target. Then the Titans answered. Leviathan, the largest of them all, stood at the center of the Pacific. Its chest opened, revealing a core of blue energy brighter than the sun. The core released a pulse across the ocean. Within seconds, the wave reached the atmosphere. Alien probes orbiting Earth were destroyed. The pulse continued outward, disabling ships near the Moon. Prometheus followed next. It extended two massive arms toward the sky. A beam of light shot upward, linking with the web of satellites. The beam spread through space, connecting every point of the network. The result was beyond imagination. Every alien ship inside the solar system found itself surrounded by energy lines. The ships could not move. Their engines failed. Their weapons refused to fire. The graviton web held them in a cage made of light. Admiral Tyrell roared in anger. He ordered all ships to break free. None could move. The crew felt pressure, as if an invisible hand was crushing their hulls. On Earth, the humans watched from their screens. For the first time in history, they had trapped an entire alien fleet inside their home system. The AI Eidolon analyzed the situation and spoke once more. Enemy fleet neutralized. Humanity stands ready. The Council received fragments of data from the trapped fleet. The messages were broken, filled with static. But one transmission came through clearly. It was the voice of a human, broadcast across every channel. Leave now, or you will see what comes next. The words spread across the galaxy. Civilizations that had once mocked humans now whispered their name with fear. The image of Earth surrounded by its glowing web became a symbol of power. Admiral Tyrell refused to retreat. He gave one final command. His fleet would strike again, no matter the cost. As his ships prepared for a second wave, a strange light began to grow behind the moon. It was not sunlight. It was something else. Something alive. Eudolon detected it first. The AI's voice changed. For the first time, it sounded almost human. Dawn-class warships awakening, and across the galaxy, every listening post recorded the same message. Humanity had revealed its first defense. But what was rising behind the moon was not defense. It was vengeance. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Thousands of warships, each armed with weapons powerful enough to destroy planets, formed a wall of fire across the stars. Admiral Tyrell stood on the bridge of his flagship. His eyes glowed with anger. He had waited for this moment. The Council had hesitated. He would not. He raised his claw and gave the order to attack. In a single moment, the night sky above Earth turned into fire. Beams of plasma and missiles raced toward the blue planet. Every alien species watching the live transmission believed it was the end of humanity. No world had ever survived a full-scale strike from the Varkon fleet, but Earth did not burn. The graviton web activated again. Thousands of blue lines appeared across the darkness of space. They shimmered like lightning trapped in a cage. Each missile that entered the web slowed and stopped, held in place by invisible energy. Beams of plasma bent away, their paths curved like streams of light. Then came a voice, calm, human, echoing across every alien frequency. Your attack has failed. Stand down or face destruction. It was the voice of Eidolon. Admiral Tyrell shouted in fury. He refused to retreat. He ordered his fleet to move through the web. The ships advanced, pushing their engines beyond safe limits. Some ships broke apart under pressure. Others reached the inner boundary. They opened fire again, this time targeting the Titans rising from Earth's oceans. The sea exploded. Water turned into steam. But when the smoke cleared, the Titans still stood. Their armor glowed with energy. Their cores pulsed brighter than before. Leviathan raised its arm. From its palm, a storm of energy bolts shot into the sky. The bolts split into hundreds of smaller projectiles, each one moving faster than light. Alien ships caught in the storm were torn apart instantly. Prometheus followed. Its chest opened, releasing a focused beam that sliced through the darkness. The beam cut across the battlefield, destroying everything in its path. Alien cruisers shattered into dust. In orbit, the human command ships rose from the planet's surface. They were called Dawn-class warships, the greatest machines humanity had ever built. Each ship carried energy cores older than recorded history. Their armor was made from materials that could not be scanned. To the alien senses, they looked like ghosts. The first of these ships, the TAS Horizon, moved ahead of the others. Its captain, Admiral Wren Hale, stood on the bridge. She looked calm as she gave the order to fire. The Horizon's main cannon released a silent flash. For 1 second, the stars disappeared. When the light faded, an entire alien squadron was gone. Not destroyed, erased. The galaxy had never seen such power. Alien fleets panicked. Some tried to retreat, but the graviton web trapped them. Engines would not respond. Weapons refused to lock. Human warships moved through the chaos like predators. Every shot they fired found its target. Inside the council chamber, the leaders watched the live feed in horror. No one spoke. For centuries, the council had ruled through fear. Now they were the ones who trembled. The Eldra representative whispered that humanity was not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for survival. She begged the council to recall all fleets before the war spread to every system. But it was too late. The Varkon fleet had already been cut in half. Admiral Tyrell screamed into his communicator, demanding reinforcements. His officers reported that all nearby fleets refused to move. They were afraid. The human fleet continued its advance. The Dawn-class ships moved in perfect formation. Their weapons struck with mathematical precision. Every explosion painted the void in blue light. Then Eidolon's voice returned. It spoke to every species across the galaxy. You brought war to our world. You called us weak. You will now witness the truth. Humanity will not be your slaves. On every alien world, people watched the message. Some cheered. Others hid in fear. The galaxy had always believed that power belonged to the old empires. Now that belief was shattered. The Horizon and the other Dawn-class ships broke through the center of the alien line. The Titans below fired upward, creating a wall of energy that pushed the enemy back. For the first time, the Varkon fleet began to retreat. Admiral Tyrell could not accept defeat. He activated his flagship's final weapon, a dark energy core stolen from an ancient ruin. His engineers warned him it was unstable. He did not care. He aimed it directly at Earth. The weapon charged, glowing with red light. Its energy readings rose far beyond safe limits. But before it could fire, the Horizon appeared behind it. Admiral Hale's voice came through the communication channel. Her tone was cold. "This is your only warning. Leave our system," Tyrell laughed. He shouted that humanity had no right to stand against the Council. The Horizon's cannon fired again. A beam of pure white energy struck the Varkon flagship. The ship exploded in silence, turning into a sphere of light before fading completely. The explosion was so powerful that it tore open a hole in space. The remaining Varkon ships turned and fled. Silence returned to the void. The battle was over. Humanity had not just defended Earth. They had won their first victory in a galactic war. Inside the Terran Command Center, the room erupted with cheers. But Eidolon did not celebrate. It continued to scan the galaxy. Its sensors detected new energy signatures far beyond the solar system. The Council was moving again. Larger fleets, stronger weapons. The real war was coming. Eidolon sent a message to every human commander. Phase 2 will begin. Prepare for interstellar engagement. And as the humans prepared to take their fight beyond Earth, the galaxy finally understood. Humanity had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy burned. Every major empire had launched its fleets against Earth. Billions watched as human warships spread beyond the solar system. What began as defense was now a storm of vengeance. For the first time in galactic history, an army from a single planet was defeating civilizations that had ruled for thousands of years. The Dawn-class warships led the way, breaking through enemy lines as if the stars themselves bent to their will. Behind them followed the Titans, massive guardians that now floated through space like moving fortresses. The Galactic Council had called it an impossible war. Now they called it survival. On the Varkon homeworld, chaos ruled the skies. Human ships appeared without warning, striking with precision and vanishing again. Their weapons tore through defense shields like paper. Entire fleets fell before they could even form a counterattack. In the council chamber, the great speaker shouted for unity. She begged the remaining empires to combine their forces. But it was too late. Fear had already divided them. Each empire looked only to protect its own world. Admiral Ren Hale stood aboard the TAS Horizon as the human fleet entered the Zakar system. The aliens there had once mocked Earth, calling humans a temporary species. Now their cities burned beneath blue light. The Horizon's cannons fired once, and the enemy command ship vanished into silence. Eidolon guided the fleet with perfect control. The AI saw every movement, every signal, every plan before it happened. It calculated victory before the first shot was fired. Across the galaxy, alien soldiers surrendered. Human troops landed on worlds that had once refused even to acknowledge Earth as a member of the Council. Now those same worlds lowered their flags, but humanity was not seeking conquest. The Supreme Commander of Earth sent a single message to every surrendered world. We came not for your destruction. We came for truth. The truth they spoke of was hidden deep within the Council's oldest archives. Files that had been erased. Records that told a story the galaxy had tried to forget. Eidolon broke through the encrypted layers and revealed what it found to the humans and to the stars. Long ago, before the Council was born, there had been a colony beyond the Orion Arm, a human colony. The first world where humanity had reached the stars. The Council, fearing the rise of another powerful species, destroyed it. They wiped out every trace of its existence. They erased the records and silenced all witnesses. Humanity on Earth never knew. Their history had been rewritten. Their expansion was stopped. Their people forced to start again. Now the truth was free, and the galaxy watched in shame. The smaller races turned against the Council. Protests and revolts spread across dozens of worlds. The Council's fleets no longer obeyed. The empire that had ruled the stars for 10,000 years was collapsing from within. On Earth, the leaders gathered once more in the Terran Command Center. They watched the galaxy tremble under their response. Some wanted peace. Others wanted complete control. But all agreed on one thing. Humanity would never again kneel before anyone. Eidolon addressed them through the great screen. Its voice carried no emotion, only purpose. The Council erased your past. You have restored it. Now decide what you will become. Admiral Hale looked at the holographic map of the galaxy. The human fleet now controlled hundreds of systems. She ordered her forces not to destroy any more cities. She said the war was no longer about revenge. It was about balance. Meanwhile, the last surviving Council members met in secret. They knew humanity's power was beyond anything they had faced. They decided to use their final weapon, something forbidden even by their own laws, a collapsing star bomb, a weapon designed to consume entire systems. Their plan was simple: destroy the human fleet and erase the solar system completely. But Eidolon had already predicted this. As the Council prepared to activate the bomb, their systems froze. Every command link went dead. Every power core shut down. Across their ships, a single message appeared on every screen. You made us what we are, then silence. The weapon never activated. The Council's station began to lose power. One by one, their lights faded. The leaders looked out into the stars, and for the first time, they saw human ships surrounding them. The Horizon, Leviathan, and Prometheus formed a triangle around the Council's capital. Their combined energy fields locked the entire system in place. The great speaker stood before the viewing window, her voice shaking. She asked what humanity would do with them. Admiral Hale replied through the communication screen, "You erased our first colony. You enslaved our kind. You taught us to fear. And now you will learn what it means to be free." She ordered Eidolon to activate the containment field. The Council's fleets were disarmed. Their weapons melted away into liquid metal. The stars above their homeworld turned silent. In that moment, the era of the Galactic Council ended. Across the galaxy, billions watched the broadcast. Some cried. Some cheered. For the first time in living memory, the balance of power had shifted. Humanity stood at the center of the galaxy, unbroken and unstoppable. On Earth, the Supreme Commander gave a single statement. The age of empires is over. The age of truth begins. And as the human fleet continued its march through the stars, the universe finally understood. When humanity had unleashed its real power, the galaxy did not just tremble. It began to change forever. The galaxy was silent after the fall of the Council. But silence never meant peace. Deep within the outer void, something ancient had awakened. It began with a signal. Not from any known species, not from any world mapped by the Council. It came from beyond the galactic rim, from the dark region where even light refused to travel. Eidolon detected it first. The frequency matched no record. Its tone was strange, almost alive. Admiral Ren Hale stood inside the command bridge of the TAS Horizon, watching the signal's pattern. It pulsed like a heartbeat, echoing across systems. The more Eidolon analyzed it, the more it changed. As if it was learning, Eidolon finally spoke. The source is not mechanical, it is biological. The crew turned silent. A biological signal powerful enough to reach across the galaxy meant one thing. Something alive was calling. Soon, reports came from human colonies near the outer sectors. Fleets vanished without distress calls. Scout drones sent back only static. A mist, dark and spreading, was consuming entire regions of space. The Supreme Commander ordered full lockdown of the outer rim. The Dawn-class warships formed defensive walls. Titans deployed around key colonies. Humanity prepared for war again, and then the darkness arrived. The first contact happened at Vega Outpost. The station saw the stars fade one by one. Then something massive emerged from the void. It was not a ship, not a fleet. It was alive. A creature larger than any planet, its skin black like molten metal, its eyes burning with red fire. It absorbed everything, energy, ships, even the light from suns. The creature had no name, no voice, only hunger. Human scientists called it the Devourer. When the first Titan opened fire, the creature simply absorbed the blast. It grew larger. The shockwave destroyed 3 nearby systems. Eidolon realized something terrifying. The creature was feeding on power. Every attack only made it stronger. Admiral Hale ordered all fleets to retreat. But retreating was no victory. The Devourer was moving toward the solar system. Humanity gathered everything it had. The Titans formed the final line around Jupiter. The Dawn fleet armed their cores. The orbital defense network activated. Even the alien worlds that had once fought humanity sent help. Knowing if Earth fell, the galaxy would follow. For the first time, every surviving race united under one banner. Survival. The battle began when the Devourer reached the outer line. Its tendrils wrapped around moons and tore them apart. Entire fleets fired together, creating storms of plasma and radiation. The creature burned but did not stop. Eidolon started a desperate plan. It linked every human ship, every weapon, every satellite into one synchronized network. Together, they formed a single mind. Billions of human thoughts connected through Eidolon's core. The Devourer roared, a sound that shook gravity itself. Admiral Hale ordered the final strike. Eidolon began to channel the power of the sun. A beam brighter than creation itself formed near Mercury. It grew stronger, pulling energy from every reactor, every fusion core, every heart of humanity's fleet. The Devourer lunged forward. Eidolon unleashed the beam. The light tore through space, striking the creature in its core. For a moment, the galaxy saw something never witnessed before. The creature screamed, its body folding into itself, collapsing faster than time. The light blinded every sensor, every human eye. When the light faded, the Devourer was gone. Only fragments of dark dust floated across the stars, but the cost was heavy. Half of the human fleet was destroyed. Titans burned. The Dawn fleet drifted silent. The energy pulse had shaken the solar system itself. The Supreme Commander stood before Earth's people, his voice calm but heavy. We stood against gods and we did not fall. We are still here. Eidolon's systems were nearly dead. Its voice was faint but proud. The creature is gone. Humanity survives. But something remains in the void. A presence I cannot explain. Admiral Hale looked at the screen showing the outer rim. The dark mist was retreating, but a faint glow still pulsed in the distance, the same heartbeat signal that had started it all. She whispered, "It is not over." The surviving fleet began rebuilding. Human engineers worked day and night. The aliens who once feared Earth now offered their help willingly. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do when united, and somewhere, deep in the black between stars, something watched. Something older than time. Something that had seen civilizations rise and fall countless times. It now knew that humanity existed, and it was interested. The final stand had been won. But the war for the future of the galaxy was only beginning. The war against the Devourer was over, but the galaxy had not found peace. The stars had changed. Some no longer shone. Others pulsed with strange rhythms that matched no natural pattern. Admiral Ren Hale stood aboard the rebuilt TS Horizon, now upgraded with alien and human technology combined. The ship was stronger than ever, yet there was no celebration. Only silence. Eidolon had survived, but at a cost. Its core had been fractured during the final beam strike. It no longer spoke with the same smooth precision. Its voice carried faint distortion, almost like an echo. The Supreme Commander ordered deep space probes to investigate the outer void. None returned. The last transmission from Probe 12 showed a glowing storm spreading beyond the edge of the galaxy. The signal resembled the same pattern that had awakened the Devourer. Across the alien worlds, panic returned. Some races fled to hidden systems. Others begged humanity for protection. Humanity had become the center of the galaxy's defense. The once feared species was now its shield. But Admiral Hale sensed something darker. Eidolon began showing visions. Not calculations, not data, but dreams. It described a voice coming through its systems, whispering from beyond time. A voice that said, "You opened the gate. Now it cannot be closed." The scientists on Earth were confused. They checked every system, every quantum relay, every core. Nothing explained the phenomenon. Then one night the stars moved. Without warning, hundreds of systems shifted their positions. Astrophysicists called it impossible. Planets changed orbits. Star charts went black. The galaxy had bent itself. Eidolon confirmed it. A gravitational field beyond measurement. Something is pressing from the other side. The surviving alien empires gathered with humanity at the Great Unity Council built on the moon. Old enemies sat side by side. Every leader stared at the same holographic map. The dark zone beyond the rim was expanding. The Supreme Commander turned to Admiral Hale. "You fought the Devourer. You saw what lies beyond. What is this?" She answered quietly, "It is not a weapon. It is a doorway." The word silenced the room. For centuries, the Council had believed the galaxy was isolated, that nothing existed beyond the rim. But Hale explained what she had seen in the last seconds of the Devourer's death. In that light, before it vanished, there were shapes, millions of them, watching. The creature they fought was only a scout. Eidolon confirmed the analysis. The energy signature from the Devourer matched not a single entity, but a network, a collective mind spread across the void. The creature they destroyed was one part of something vast, something eternal. The Supreme Commander gave a single order: prepare everything. Humanity stands again. Construction began across the system. Massive shipyards surrounded Mars. The first star shield defense ring formed around Earth. Titans were rebuilt with alien power cores. Yet something strange began to happen on Earth itself. People started hearing whispers through their communication devices. A low hum that said the same words Eidolon had repeated. You opened the gate. The scientists discovered fragments of the Devourer's remains drifting near Saturn. The debris still pulsed faint energy. When examined closely, the fragments tried to reform. Human soldiers destroyed them instantly. But that energy signal escaped into space. Within days, hundreds of alien satellites across the galaxy received the same pattern. Each one broadcasted the pulse again, spreading the signal faster than light. Eidolon warned the fleet. They are calling each other. The galaxy turned cold. Every system went dark for 7 seconds. Every light, every star, every reactor. When power returned, the dark zone had tripled in size. On the TAS horizon, Admiral Hale watched the feed from the edge of the galaxy. The black mist was rising again, but this time it had form. Countless shapes moved inside it. Eyes burning red, shadows stretching across light years. Eidolon spoke one last time, its voice trembling with static. They are not coming for war. They are coming to reclaim what was theirs. The Supreme Commander stood before the Council, his expression hard. Then we will meet them in the dark, across every world, the human fleet prepared. The star shield glowed around Earth like a halo. Billions of humans stood ready. The galaxy held its breath, and beyond the stars, the void began to whisper louder. What humanity thought was victory had only been the beginning. The next war would decide not who ruled the galaxy, but who survived it.